So let's go to the last main topic of today's podcast. So for those that have not seen the article yet, it came up, I want to say, a day or two ago. It's called Kevin Spacey, Louis C.K., and the Problem with Thin-Skinned Comedians, written by Steven Silver, one of our frequent collaborators and content creators for our website. And it brings up some interesting topics, especially considering all the news and what is going on. So we're going to talk about that and kind of give our opinions about this entire situation. And I'm going to lay it out for people now that have not read the article. In general, he talks about Kevin Spacey and his whole situation going on with him being criminally charged and last year getting removed from his show and basically getting blackballed from Hollywood and filmmaking, maybe forever, who knows. But he's definitely not getting any work right now. And won't be getting work anytime soon. And then he compared it to Louis C.K.'s situation, where it's been less than a year since his whole situation with coming to find out that he likes to jerk off in front of women and coworkers that he works with. And it's been less than a year, and he's already back working out new material, supposedly for some new upcoming show. And he got, I'm sure you guys have heard, but he's been catching a lot of flack for a lot of the shit that he said in there, which he touched on everything from the school shooting victims to PC culture to, pretty sure he threw in some about transgenders, just a bunch of gender pronouns and a lot of very sketchy subjects in general to touch on, and he goes full blown and goes after all of that. And he kind of presents his question as to why of how there's two arguments now, where one side's kind of saying that he shouldn't be able to get back on stage and do this, like Kevin Spacey is not able to get back into work and do this. And then on the other side, there's the pushback, mostly from comedians, and that the culture has become too PC, too politically correct, and that comedians in particular have that right to say and do things in the pursuit of comedy, and they should have that kind of leeway to do as they kind of say as they please. And that because since he is an independent entertainer, that he should be able to go out and do what he does, and it's up to the audience to kind of decide on whether or not he's allowed back in.
Support it or not.
So that is the general gist. It is a long article, and it is a deep topic, and it's one that's been going on at least for the past 2 years at least. And we're just kind of talk about it.
Yeah.
I think like the whole controversial thing with comedy has been a topic for way longer than 2 years. Like comedians who make black jokes, comedians who make jokes about Muslims, comedians who make jokes about whatever. They've
But I don't
always
think
had
it's
like
been
this
as
open
vocal
pass.
as it is now.
They've always had this open pass to make jokes about it. The problem with Louis C.K. is not the controversy that started with him is not because of a joke he made. Mm-hmm. It's because of something he did outside of that venue, outside of that space.
Yes.
That's what started the issue. It wasn't about his comedy. So I think the whole comedy thing, you should be able to, you're making a joke. So you should be able to make as fucked up of a joke that you possibly can. Dave Chappelle also got into controversy for making transgender jokes and rape jokes, and he came back and made a rape joke again, but about a man this time. You know what I mean? And like that's something comedians do. Like that's not the issue here. I don't think that him making jokes is the issue. It's what he did outside of that is the issue. Like that's where he had the problems, and he didn't. Like I feel like it's what you said. It's up to the audience whether they support him or not. if they find his fucked up jokes funny, then that's just representative of them, in the society we're living in. It's not like anything that I think you should be. And again, it's like it's more of an independent. Comedy is more of an independent field rather than movie making like Kevin Spacey, where there's a whole production, a whole crew, it's a way bigger budget, way more money behind it. That's a different story. You can't even compare the two, honestly. The only thing that compares them is like that they're two white guys, and at the end of the day, they're gonna get away with it.
Well, he is kind of comparing, saying
More.
that, not necessarily saying that the audience is at fault, but that the club owners and promoters are at fault.
Which makes sense. Because part of it
Because if they wanted to make a stand and say he can't perform here, they could say that, but they won't.
Well, a lot of the disputes are with female comedians. So if Louis C.K. is coming to a show and say he walks by one of his like victims, like, oh, or like, who's to say he's not going to do that to a female comedian who just gets offset and he starts talking to her? Is she going to feel uncomfortable because Louis C.K. is weird and we're backstage now? So those are things that the venue is essentially ignoring by allowing him, to come through.
I mean, I also want to say I think that Louis C.K., like the clip that we watched, is way fucked up. How he's making fun of transgender people and all this is like unnecessary, and he obviously doesn't get it because his jokes are misinformed and ignorant, and the people who are laughing at them are also misinformed and ignorant, but that's how it always is. Like, people make jokes about Muslim people all the time. These comedians make jokes about Muslims all the time, blowing up shit, being terrorists, whatever, and nobody says anything about that. Nobody's gonna like debate about whether they give them the club that night or not. No, it's they don't care. So if you want to make misinformed, ignorant jokes to misinformed, ignorant people, go the fuck ahead. You have freedom of speech. This is the USA. Like, yeah. And if the business club owners think they can make money, then this is America. That's what it's about. Like, the movie people probably feel like it would be a giant flop if they starred Kevin Spacey in.
Yeah, of course.
The movie. They would not make money.
No.
They wouldn't. So it's an obvious business decision.
And it's a different culture, and comedians, they kind of circle up when a comedian is being attacked. They definitely circle up and kind of
they're more like a union in the
defend them
field.
as comedians,
But again, the reason why Louis C.K. was being attacked is not because of his comedy. The reason why, what's his face, that guy, the Indian kid, Aziz Ansari is being attacked is not because of his comedy. It's because of conduct outside of that, in their personal life or professional life outside of the stage. That's different. Kevin Spacey is not being, held back because of something he did on a movie or something he said in an interview. It's because of, stuff he did out in his personal life.
Yeah. I agree. Look, I don't think that Louis C.K. is doing this because he's misinformed or doesn't understand. I think he's doing the comedy that he's doing now, which is actually, he's always done kind of dark humor, but it's never been like it is now. Like, now it's just spiteful.
No, yeah.
It's just
trying to like relate to the dads of the world, or like, before he kind of seemed like he was trying to like keep it like gritty but comfortable and like relatable, and now he's just like, I'm gonna talk about wild shit.
Now it's just spiteful. Now it's just spiteful.
He's
now
always
it's
been
kind of
that
like
way.
a fuck you.
No, his comedy's always been that way. I used to be a fan of him. I used to actually watch his comedy show. He was like one of the only white middle-aged dudes that could make me laugh out loud. Like, he's always been this way. His comedy has always been slightly off.
But you're telling me his jokes have felt
Style
as hacky
comedy,
as they are now? His jokes,
Huh?
like the jokes he told, they weren't even funny. They just sounded hacky as shit. Like
But yeah, you heard
lowbrow.
that
Yeah,
2 minute
you're
clip.
right. You're
That
right.
was 2
I didn't
minutes.
laugh at all.
That was 2
That's
minutes,
true.
and it was like punchline after punchline.
Yeah, that
after
was his like.
punchline. Like that's
Yeah,
not his.
you're right.
He
This was
just,
like his like.
and it's 45 minutes long. That was just 2 minutes. We were like, what? He said a
you're
whole
right.
lot of shit. Like and like that.
Like it was
This
just
was
to
his
be
like,
mean.
oh, I can say whatever the fuck I want.
Yes, exactly. It was just out of spite.
That
It was a
fool
spiteful.
Said, he said, and
I'm
he
still
said
on
so much
stage.
crazy shit. Like I was trying to listen to the 45-minute thing, and apparently it was out here in New York, and like yeah, but whatever. I was like, he said some shit, and I was like, why didn't I see any of these things? But I was like, he just said so much stuff that's like they're just letting him. You know, we can't burn him for everything. At least he's getting burned, I guess, because like.
He's trash, honestly. He doesn't even deserve this podcast at this point.
I mean, it's not just about him because there's a whole situation going on with people, with entertainers in particular, who have such big impact on people's like lives, and people were like fans and like looked up to them, going through these situations, and people are finding themselves wondering like, when like should I not support any of the stuff they did or anything that they do?
Speaking of
or
that,
what's the point?
Topic,
like what's
I
what's
feel
the
like
line
I have
now?
to bring up the R. Kelly.
Oh yeah, I was about to. We have to.
documentary. Yeah, I was like, this is like you have to be. I was like, everyone's talking
We
about
have
this
to.
right now. But
So that's what I'm saying.
I
It's
haven't
not
started
just
it yet.
him. He's like a symptom of this, but it's him. Then there's R. Kelly. Then there's Kevin Spacey. Then there's even Kevin Hart,
I
who's
think
going
it's
through his whole
really
situation.
Important to notice that these people are men, and if they're not men, they're white women. I think it's really important to notice that. I just wanted to say that.
I want people to notice that like it's only being talked about because people are like this is the most like open and able people are that were victims are like able to like voice like their like their traumas, you know, and like before, because like there's stories since the end of time. Any of the greatest, like I heard stories about Marlon Brando. Apparently Marlon Brando is like the king of Me Too. He's like as bad
like
as
Frank
Harvey
Sinatra.
Weinstein.
Yeah, I mean, if
So,
you
like,
go back
it's, like,
to
all
that
these
time period,
legends, but,
that's
like,
everybody.
So that's what I'm saying.
Everybody.
So, like we have legendary sets for all these things, but we're not going to tarnish the ones that are gone now because they're gone now. So they can't, you know, we can't.
That's
Ray
not true.
Charles.
That's not true.
Ray
That's
Charles
not
wasn't.
true.
But can we get
Because
can we
look,
get
look,
that
look.
material?
This just
That's the
happened.
thing.
This just happened over Christmas with the song "Baby It's Cold Outside." How long ago did that song come out?
How that song is about like,
And
rape culture.
and now, and for so many years, no problem. And now, people have come out and saying,
yeah, but
basically
I don't see a
destroyed-
problem with that. That's history.
right. So this is what I'm saying. So
Progressing
when,
as
like, what's the
humans.
line? Should
There
Is
is
no
line.
sign?
The line is constantly going to be pushed further out.
So something that is historical from like 60 years ago, of course, it's not going to be up to
It's
today's
just that,
cultural standards,
historical.
right?
No, it does. It's not going to meet our cultural standards. A lot of things. I mean, there's only very few things that can surpass the time.
So
Those
are
things
people
are the
going to
really special
systematically go
things
back
that-
and take down all of these historical people? Because I guarantee they were all fucked up people.
Yeah,
Guarantee it.
I don't think take down in terms of erasing them is the proper way to deal with it. I think they should still be mentioned and talked about, but they should be mentioned and talked about in our language, in our today's language.
Mhm.
Yeah, they should be called out. Yeah.
So there's
I
a
mean,
vow very
as a woman, like somebody who doesn't have equal rights to this day, like that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous that in my mind, as a human, as a person, I feel equal to you, but in society, I'm not. Even though you have darker skin, even with that, I'm still not equal to you. You still are taken more seriously and are respected more in whatever career field, anything outside, grocery store, street, anything on the bus. anything, you're taken more seriously than I am and more respected than I am because I have a vagina. Yeah, I'm going to talk about this for fucking ever until that doesn't exist anymore. And I'm going to call out all the people in the past who've put my head underwater this entire time.
So that's
I'm going to talk
everybody.
about it. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, if there's issues where, I mean, sexism is a worldwide issue, and it's almost at 100%. You know, all males are sexist, absolutely, and women are also sexist. Females are also sexist. They can be because we lived in a sexist world and we lived in a sexist society, and that's how we understand the world around us is through these frameworks, this racist, sexist framework. And yeah, that's how we live our life. Yeah, that's real. I have to deal with it every day. I see it. I take it in and try to push back, but there's only so much you can do without making yourself a target, you know? So, yeah, there will always be these lines. There will always be these corrections made by future generations, by our children, by all children who are being like, no, what you said in this podcast, Dario, is not what I think anymore. That's the past.
Okay, I hear you, but listen.
That's life.
So when's the point? So anything you ever say in your life, anything you ever say in your life will always come back to haunt people now. So like, I don't agree with that.
It's not that you are haunted by it, it's that you should be open to constantly learning. There is no point in your life where you should feel that you got it.
Here's the Kevin Hart situation. Do you agree with the Kevin Hart situation?
The Kevin Hart situation?
Yes.
Where he cheated on his wife.
No,
right?
That's not the situation I'm talking about.
What situation?
About the Oscars.
What happened at the Oscars?
Hosting the Oscars. They pulled up old...
From 8 years ago that he already apologized 8 years ago for.
To make fun of him? It was a joke?
No.
Well,
to
jokes that were
boycott him and to say he should never work again.
Boycott him to not.
Oh, he was homophobic. Oh, I
From
just
8
recently.
years ago.
That was recent, right? Because I just saw something that he put out a formal apology to the LGBTQ.
After he said he wasn't going to apologize. But then he apologized.
And
then he re-apologized.
Yeah, he should. Why not?
He apologized.
Because he already did 4, 5, 6 times.
He apologized.
Yeah, but
At what point do you accept the apology and accept somebody being a better person than they were from 10 years ago? Like, at what point is there time for you to actually accept the apology instead of just being angry and trying to take him down? Because then what's the point? What's the point of the process? Because if you just try to erase people and erase...
It's not erasing people.
No, they want to erase people. This is what people are doing now. They want to erase people from society, but these are still people. They're not gonna go anywhere.
About them erasing, they're not erasing them. They're just changing the way you think.
No, when you say you should never work again, you should erase everything you ever did. You should never work again for saying something like this. That's trying to erase somebody from society.
No, it's trying to stop them from gaining money from being racist or sexist.
First of all, you barely get paid from the Oscars. Second of all, he apologized multiple times already. And there was no problem. It was never brought up before. But the moment he gets a high profile thing, then it gets dug up. So every time you make a step in life, something comes back regardless of if you apologize, regardless if you've made changes in your life, regardless if you've made changes in your behavior. That doesn't make sense to me. Because then at some point...
It does make sense. That's human nature.
No, because...
It's human nature. We all are growing and changing, right? And we're not in, like, the limelight, you know? But there's shit that I thought or said or did 10 years ago that now, if you showed me, I'd be so embarrassed and be like, oh my God.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
So they just happen to get this because... they're under a microscope and everything is being recorded, right? So that's human. That's human.
It's not even trying, at that point to me, it's not even trying to correct an issue. To me, at that point, what they're doing is just trying to punish, trying to be vindictive. And there's a difference between trying to teach somebody and trying to say there's a better way of doing something, and then there's just being vindictive and being spiteful and just getting your anger
we're
out.
definitely in a call out culture. I think
And
that's what
there's
you're
a
talking
line,
about.
and I think the line is getting too far into just calling out and trying to dig up shit from everybody, every single person that's ever done anything in their life.
Yeah,
Because
part of the
for
problem
punishment.
is the sensationalism of
Yeah.
the internet. Everybody's gonna run with the first thing, like the lie.
And they know they can do this because these people are celebrities.
You know, as a person, like, there's been scenarios in my experience, my personal life, that, like, oh, like 5 years ago, this professor said something really racist to me about Muslims. And he or she may feel differently now, but in my mind, forever, they will be that person who said that to me and made me go home and cry. Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
And in 10 years, if I do an interview and they ask me about this person, I'm going to call that motherfucker out. I'm going to say, there was a lot of people who did not support me, who made fun of me, who discouraged me, and took away my power, who tried to take away my power. I'm going to say that, even 10 years, even if that person comes out and says, oh, I was ignorant, I didn't think that, I'm still going to say it's part of my history. It's part of my life. It's part of the reason why it made me angry enough to move forward in the first place.
So here's, I don't.
It depends. Call out culture is a thing. People are calling people out. It really depends.
Imagine if all these people calling people out were called out for their bullshit in their past.
Yeah, but Kevin Hart is way more influential person.
Exactly. So it's not even the point of making a better society. It's just the point of punishing people in positions of influence.
No.
So what's the point?
Yeah, it's not punishing people. It's about
you're trying to.
It's about keeping people in positions of influence in check.
Well, you have to
that's not keeping somebody in check.
You have to realize
you're creating more pushback. People are creating more pushback than they are
but
progress.
You understand the term deterrence.
No.
Yes.
Kevin Hart is still rich. Come on.
No, I'm saying they are going to create more pushback from those people that they're trying to teach and make better than they are.
But that's what I'm saying. The deterrence is by showing them. It's basically a public announcement. Whoever they let get fucking torn down, and for what they get torn down for, lets all people know that this is a thing. That
maybe once, maybe twice,
like,
maybe even 3 times. But the 20th, 30th, 40th time, nobody's gonna give a fuck no more.
You get publicly executed. Oh, so what is this? That it's literally walking the famous guy down, the street in handcuffs because we caught him kind of shit.
No, but also I think that you should be able to call out these people without repercussions, because that's a dictatorship. If not, these people in position and who are in power and who are
I've never said that you shouldn't be able to. You feel free to call out whoever you want. But I'm saying, what's the purpose at that point?
But also, don't just consider. Both of us should not just consider either just from the because we all know there's levels of what people are calling people out for. But they
call people out for a bunch of bullshit.
But that's what I'm saying. Is your argument is coming from thinking about the bullshit examples. And your example is coming from the extreme correct examples. So you're arguing each other about the extreme of a certain guy. Let's come to the middle.
Because when the extreme is starting to become the norm, and it keeps happening over and over and over again, people are going to stop responding in the way that you would hope they respond, and they're going to start responding in an angry pushback way. This is what I'm saying.
No, but the lies are being exposed. The liars are being exposed.
Are they? Not necessarily. There's still a lot of liars out there.
Remember Nelly? Nelly was exposed. Nelly, and then that went away because it was false.
Even
even a lie will ruin people. What do you mean? Even a lie nowadays will ruin people. What are you talking about?
No, Ellen DeGeneres was recently called out for not being nice because she's known as such a nice person.
She was also just called out for being nice, being too nice.
Literally, Ellen DeGeneres just like said like, no, I don't want to take a picture with you today, and then all of a sudden she got called out for being a mean, bitchy person because she's known to be the nicest fucking person ever, right? Even on that level.
Look, all I'm saying is we're approaching Black Mirror levels with the rating of people and the public shaming of people. It's getting out of fucking control because people know that
It only looks like
people
that on the
feel
internet.
people feel like they have power now, and now even making a false accusation is almost just as bad as just being accused is almost enough now. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's
well, I mean,
always
but your
been the
outrage doesn't necessarily reflect what's happening. Like we're saying, Louis C.K. is still doing shows.
Yeah.
Like, niggas that getting accused
Yeah.
of shit that they actually admit to. Louis C.K. admitted to masturbating in front of these women. So that's the thing, too. It's like he said, yeah. So this is the thing. So it's like some of the cases are like, we don't even know. But like with that, he's still just out here. So like the thing is, they have to get extreme because niggas is just out here.
But
Why isn't Weinstein in jail yet? Niggas is still out here. Like,
Yeah.
that's why. It's like, yo, can we get some closure from some of this shit? Otherwise, we're just going to keep going. We need closure from somebody. And they're going to give, hey, they're throwing R. Kelly right into the fire. He's going to be the first one before Weinstein, I bet.
But at the
He'll
same
go to jail
time,
first.
you should be able to call out people who are very wealthy in position of power and influence. You should always be able to call them out, and they should be able to give you an answer. And that's part of that. That's just
Do you
part
really
of
think
being
they
in that
care about the
position.
answer? I don't think they give a fuck about the answer.
Who's there?
People calling
No, they
people
just
out.
want, they care about the reaction.
I don't think they
Like, a
care
lot
about
of
the.
times
I don't think they
If
care.
you react
They don't
to
care
it-
about the answer.
If Louis C.K. came out,
He gave you an answer.
more
They
of an
didn't- they don't care.
apologetic way and was making jokes about not the stuff he was making jokes about, people would probably be more open to him.
I don't think so.
But because he was just like, "Fuck you guys," people are pissed.
I don't think so because Kevin Hart literally did that 8 years ago. People have not been more open to him. They've still did this.
Kevin
But
Hart.
what does that have to
Kevin
do
Hart,
with...
in my opinion, Kevin Hart. Like from what I hear, Kevin Hart's cool. Like nobody's like hating on him as much as they're hating on Louis.
Kevin
Of
Hart's
course,
not
not as much
canceled.
as Louis C.K. Louis C.K. was a different
Yeah.
Kevin Hart's
situation.
not canceled or anything.
Yeah, Kevin's fine. He's just like he just got into like regular trouble.
That's regular backlash. That's
yeah,
celebrity
like I don't
backlash.
feel like
That would happen.
that's not the feeling
that would
I
happen
get.
regardless.
I don't get that
No.
he's being blacklisted. I don't get the feeling that
It didn't
he's
happen
being
with Chris Rock.
properly-
That was only, 4 years ago?
Yeah, but then something there was backlash.
Chris Rock has said way
Dave
worse shit than
Chappelle
Kevin
got
Hart.
more backlash than
Chris Rock got backlash
Kevin
for his
Hart.
monologue, for his opening monologue of hosting. He got backlash.
Did he get? Did people boycott him when he was getting the Oscar job? No, they didn't.
I mean,
Did
but
they
the
pull
thing
up
is-
shit from his stand-up routine 10
When's
years
the
ago?
last time you saw
Did they
Chris
pull?
Rock?
Hold on. Did they pull up shit from his
Chris
stand-up
Rock?
routine
When's the last
20
time
years
you saw
ago
Chris Rock?
when he was saying outrageous
Last time
shit?
you
I
saw
don't
Chris
even
Rock.
remember.
Exactly. So I don't know what we're talking about. It was the Oscars, I think. So I don't know what we're talking about. I haven't seen him, and I don't know what's going on.
What you talking about?
So I'm just talking about
But even
visibility
just, like,
after backlash.
R. Kelly's gotten some real.
Oh, we never talked about that, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, there's definitely levels, and I don't think people even respect that there's levels to that shit. Like R. Kelly's on a whole another level.
I get why you get frustrated. I mean, I get your frustration because I also say a lot of shit that people are like not totally kosher with, and I get backlash for saying things like
Oh, I
that.
don't care about backlash. Should I say? I'm just saying in general, it's
I
becoming
get backlash
too
for saying
much.
that I think it's fucked up to own dogs in the United States. I get backlash for that. That's fucked up. People here think I'm like demonic for saying that I think you're fucked up for keeping a dog in your apartment all day.
Have you heard,
But I still think it's fucked up.
Reese? Have you heard? Did you hear that Kevin Hart joke that they were all pulling up and talking about?
Oh, I have not heard the Kevin Hart jokes.
You have heard it for sure. It was from
I
like
mean, I
one
probably
of
heard the Kevin
earlier
Hart jokes, but
stand-ups.
I didn't go to it like, oh, which one's the joke they're talking about? Like, If it was years ago, I've heard it because I watched the whole thing. Like,
You've definitely heard it. I'm gonna pull it up right now. It was in 2014.
2014. That feels like forever ago.
It really does. That's my whole point.
found a tweet from 2000.
Oh, that's when he said something
It,
about.
it was in a stand-up routine.
Stand-up. Oh, from one of his.
Yeah, from one of his stand-ups.
Yeah.
I can't find the exact joke,
How
but
certain things were acceptable in our culture. In
okay.
2014
So
are not acceptable
we're gonna talk about
today.
this one. So
That's the fucking beauty
look.
of it all.
Here, I can't find the exact joke, but I can tell you the gist of it was basically saying that as a father and having a son, he fears his son growing up and being gay. Like in a joke. I can't tell the exact joke because I don't remember the exact joke.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And it wasn't like in a spiteful way. It was more of like, as me, as an individual, that's one of the fears I have. That's what he said.
Yeah.
And to me,
I thought he was trying to say it the most PC way.
it was super PC to me. Like, it was extremely
he was like
PC.
tiptoeing around it, laying it out soft. Like, it's just, Yeah.
It's not like he came out and said, I hate gays or he just said, as a father, one of the fears I have is my son growing up and being gay. In a joke, like as a joke, however joke he set it up, I can't remember exactly how I set it up, but that's how he set it up. And to me, I don't understand the backlash on this.
Okay, so what if it wasn't Kevin Hart and there was some white dude and he said, I fear the day that my white daughter
they say it all the time.
Black man.
They say it all the time.
Yeah, right. But that's kind of equivalent to the joke. So would you be upset about that?
Not at all.
No. You would just
Why would I ever be upset about how you personally feel?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand this. Like, if you feel this way, like if somebody says, I'm like, it doesn't mean that I hate gay, like, it doesn't mean that person hates gay people if he says, as a father, I fear that my son is me, because he personally feels this way. Like, why would I get mad about how you feel?
Yeah. And there's a
like,
lot
you
of
can't have these feelings
personally feel
and I don't care.
And
I really don't care.
Is cool with you.
I don't care.
This
is how you feel. This is how you feel.
Can I just, as a devil's advocate?
Yeah, I'm just being a devil's
advocate. I just want to present the logic that the mind of someone being mad would present, which is always their logic, which is that on a public platform, it would essentially promote that type of understanding and might influence others to think that way specifically about
no, I think you're more on Dario's side of things right now.
Yeah, no, I don't think like that. I'm just saying that's the only way it's in any way.
I just don't understand the backlash of this situation at all. Because this is how you feel. Like this is me trying to tell you, you can't feel this way. Like, okay, this is how you feel.
On
like,
stage,
I don't care.
No, Dario, nobody said he can't feel that way.
No, people have said, when people say, you can't do it, that's what you're saying. You can't feel this way. You can't express how you feel. So you're telling me you can't express how you feel.
About people.
Is this what you're saying?
You do by yourself, nobody knows about. If nobody else will ever know, then nobody else ever knows.
Yeah.
So you can't express how you feel. Is this what you're trying to tell me?
No, I understand what you're saying.
On stage, I'm just saying they're talking about the responsibility of
a comedian. Really? That's what we're talking about now?
Is a comedian a public figure?
We're talking about the responsibilities of a comedian.
Of public figures.
Of a comedian.
Okay, you're saying a comedian. What's a comedian?
Of a comedian. Like, I don't understand. Like,
I know what you're saying, but that's like...
What's your public responsibility? What does that mean? Like, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Yeah. No, it's
Because I'm a
okay.
public figure, I have to be a role model for everybody. Is this what you're saying? What's like?
I'm saying
What are you telling
lady-
people what they have to be as a public figure? This is what it's coming to for me as
Yeah.
a creator. You're
That's
telling me
Yeah. I mean,
that's like saying as an artist because you're no look you're an artist. Look, you're an artist, but as a
Which
public
is why
figure,
I can tell you
look,
the circumstances.
listen to me. You're an artist, so as a public figure, you can't express how you feel. If you feel a certain way, you can't express that way in your art because you're a
Yeah,
public
it's like
figure.
people coming to you and saying, "Are you saying all cops are bad?" People say that shit to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of your backlashes. Like, are you saying all cops are bad? Are you saying you're anti-cop, anti-police?
Well, see,
That's something you get for
and
making work.
the
that
problem
way
you
do.
two just used is images versus words because.
Images. People say images are more powerful than words.
But what I'm saying is legally and the way and manner in which that's very subjective is very hard to combine them into the same, like, vernacular and circumstances. I guess the visual language.
You said a public figure, and I said artists are public figures. So as an artist, that's like somebody telling you you can't express how you feel.
Content maker,
That doesn't make sense to me.
maker who has an influence.
And as
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
But just like reverse that.
So, but that's what I'm
right?
saying is like, who's promoting that idea that I created? What gallery put that up? You know, like the words, like what you're saying is, yeah, I could do that in my studio, but who's gonna see the work? Like the public part is what I'm talking about. I know the person who does the thing.
you can put up art, right? You put up art. Say you put up art in a public place.
What I'm saying is, you can do whatever you want. This is what I'm saying is, everyone just needs to be aware of the level of sensitivity because
It's too high.
That are the circumstances.
It's too high.
Like, don't do anything
It's too high.
unless you're willing to accept the consequences. My nigga.
What's the consequence? What consequences should there be for this?
Look at the internet. These are the consequences. Like, we can't be like, oh, this is bullshit. Motherfuckers will react. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They're gonna keep doing that. You seen the internet?
Okay, so you're saying accept the consequences. So what I'm saying is, what are the consequences? What are the consequences? What should the consequences be?
Technology works now. This is what it is with technology.
What
Nobody has to
should
see
the
people
consequences be?
face-to-face
This is
now.
what I'm asking.
I think that the
Anybody can get
consequences should be a
sensitive.
conversation. It should be a conversation. It should be calling out and a response and whatever that goes on after that. Like,
But do
there
you
should be a
honestly
conversation.
believe these people calling out their goal is to have a conversation?
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter what their goal is. The point is that if somebody comes to the Reese and says, "Do you hate all cops?" and he says, and then he explains his situation, and then I learn from that, being a bystander.
That's not how they come at people. They don't ask,
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
"Hey,
what
do
they
you
come
feel
at.
how about this?" No, they come at you. They come to the employer. You should never work again. You shouldn't even be a part of society. That's not having a conversation. That's not starting a conversation.
No, that's not starting a it is starting a conversation. Maybe not in between those two.
That's not how you react. That's not how you get a conversation going. That's not. You're not going to get a good reaction.
That's how you get a conversation going.
That's not how you get a good reaction. That's not how you start a conversation.
Like, do you see there's a disconnect between conversations? He's talking about conversations, and you were talking about the conversation.
Yeah.
So it creates.
It gets people talking about it.
a
Right now, we
conversation.
are talking about this.
That's what she
This
means.
is a conversation
Yes.
that started.
This is a conversation.
The person implicating the public figure wants it. No,
Yeah. No.
they might want to start the conversation for us to all figure out.
Nah.
Is this
But now
what
we're
they
talking
feel
about
right
it,
they
and
just
we're
be
trying to
vindictive.
figure it out, and we're trying to figure out what's the best way to do it. This is a conversation starter. This controversy.
This is
what's
literally
conversation.
everybody trying to figure out what's fishy and what's too far by testing everything. It's literally everything. We're figuring it out right now. We're recalibrating.
We are. And
This
shit like Twitter and internet has definitely
Oh, Twitter
made this
rules
shit a
recalibration.
fucking shit show. I can tell you that right now. Like,
If there's anything happening,
I mean,
you look at Twitter
imagine-
first.
Imagine if there was no backlash. What would the world look like?
If there was no
If there was never any backlash, nobody called anybody out, everyone was polite and like, oh, What's your opinion? I'm just gonna sit here and think my opinion.
It probably
You know,
wouldn't.
I don't disagree on backlash, but I do disagree when it's out of control.
I can see that.
there's always good, there's always bad that comes with the good.
There always seems to be some
And
excessive.
I'm not even on the side of these people that you're saying. I'm just saying, like, it's actually going to do more harm to future backlash moments than it is to the person. Because, like I said, at some point, yeah, the first time, third time, fourth time, fifth time, sure, you're going to get a reaction. Sure,
Yeah.
you're going to get a conversation. But after a
think
while, people are going to stop feeling like they need to change or they need to understand, or they're just going to be, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm pushing, like,
That's what I
fuck
was
you.
just gonna
And it's just
say.
going to create a larger contingent of people saying fuck you and fuck this. That's all I'm saying.
I think you have to give people more credit, and I think people are pretty good at judging where they think it's okay, this is stupid, they're just like being vindictive, as opposed to.
I think this is how you
I
get a
think
Trump.
this is how you get a Trump.
Yes.
Yeah. So the thing about the Trump thing is because I think there wasn't enough backlash. I think you got a Trump because there wasn't enough backlash. Because there wasn't enough people speaking out saying, this is fucked up, this happened to me, this guy did this guy did this guy did this. I think that's why that happened. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, you do.
Nah. I don't. I don't. I definitely don't.
Lies! I saw it in your eyes.
I definitely don't.
No.
I definitely think he's a result of people pushing back. But